Hi everybody, welcome back to Leonie's Kitchen. Two lovely dishes today. I'm looking forward to these. I did make the chocolate cookies last week. That's the proof that I did, and I enjoyed them very much indeed. Haven't got very many left. So today it's cheese straws to start with, and then we're going to, well, Leonie is going to show us how to make Indonesian stir-fry. So over to you, Leonie.
Thank you, Tricia. Well, welcome again to the EatWright Kitchen. Two lovely recipes, one ideal as a snack. I was thinking Easter is not far away, but of course we can't celebrate it with our loved ones, but why not treat ourselves to a lovely cheese straw? And then we're going to travel a little bit to Indonesia. So I've never been to Indonesia. In Holland, where I come from, they have a lot of Indonesian restaurants and the food is always delicious. So I've made a dish that's full of protein and very healthy for women in the menopause and after that as well. So I'll start with making the cheese straws. Last week, when I did the cookies with the oats, I did oat flour, didn't I? And I mentioned that you could also use buckwheat flour. Now, buckwheat flour is gluten-free, so it's very good for your gut. So that's the first ingredient that I'm using, about 100 grams. Then I'm using chia seeds. They are very dear to me. I just realized that I actually use a lot of chia seeds. I use it through my yogurt and I also use it as a binder. It's a really good form of protein and also omega, and I'm nearly run out. I'm doing my trusted Himalayan salt. Then I'm using 1 egg. And with that, I'm mixing that with some cheddar cheese. I know you don't like dairy cheese or you like sheep cheese and manchego. You can use that as well, but for these purposes, I'm just using that one. So it's very simple. I'm going to turn you down and see, I'll show you how I make it. I've put the buckwheat flour already in a bowl and I'm mixing that first with the chia seeds. Just give it a bit of a stir, make sure that it's all nicely mixed up. And then I put in half of the cheese. I've got about 100 grams of cheese in total. The other half I'm going to use to decorate the cheese once I've made the straws. A little bit left. So mix this up as well in the bowl. A little bit of Himalayan salt, small dash, not too much, just about that will do. Mix that through as well. This is really a quick thing, and I'm going to add 1 egg. Don't need to whisk the egg, I'm just throwing it in like that. And then I'm mixing it again with the spoon. Now, when I first made this dish, I must say I thought, how can this ever become a dough? But it does, surprisingly. I was surprised by it myself. Do you like cheese straws, Tricia?
I love them. The only ones that I've eaten recently are the ones from Marks and Spencer's, which are quite, I think they've got quite a lot of fat in them because they are, well, they're delicious, but I'm interested to see how you make them.
Yeah. By the way, I've washed my hands, not that you think I'm just... Okay, so initially it will be a bit crumbly, but ultimately the dough will sort of get together. You just have to be a bit persistent with it. I tried it last night again. I hadn't made them for a while, but it did work. So you just have to be a bit patient and do a bit of kneading, which is good for our bones because we need to stay strong when we get older. Our bones is so important. I know you do exercises with a lady, don't you, Tricia?
I do, and I've been showing Super Troopers and others that have watched the videos, a series of exercises over the last 8-9 weeks, and yeah, I mean, it's been, we've had some great feedback. So yeah, I'm a great believer that we have to have what I call functional fitness when we get older. So it's not about leaping around in a gym. It's about being able to get in and out of your car easily and in and out of a chair without too much stress and strain. And off the floor, if you're down on the floor playing perhaps with your grandchildren, you can actually get up again. So
yeah. I talked to a lady about exercise, and she follows. Is it Lindsay, the lady you work with?
Yes.
Yeah, about the different types of exercises that you need to do, aerobic, balance, breath work, all sorts, and strengthening exercises. I always thought about exercises, oh, you go to the gym and you do a bit of aerobic, but there's much more to it. Right, so you can see now that it has come to a really good consistency. It's quite tough and it's quite hard, but that doesn't matter. We're going to roll it out on a piece of paper. So let me just put this away, and that away, and that away as well. Leave the cheese here for later. Now, what the best thing to do with this recipe is to get a piece of baking paper. You put your dough on there and try to shape it in a rectangle. Ideally, you would make it into a perfect square, but I've tried 4 or 5 times and I've never managed it. So I've decided, and then you put a piece of other baking parchment on top. I have decided that it's going to be Rustic cheese straws. I'm going to change the name, but anyhow. So you roll it out with the rolling pin. Initially, it's quite thick. Just make sure that the paper stays on the top, because otherwise your dough will stick. I'm moving it around a little bit. Once it becomes thin. It's such a therapeutic, sorry, it's a difficult word for me to pronounce, therapeutic thing to make. But it's very quick and easy. Not a lot of fat, of course, only the fat from the cheese. A little bit of omega-3 in the chia seeds, but that's a good fat. So you just basically roll this out. Turn it around again. And you can see, I'll just show you, it becomes already a nice dough, which we are going to cut with a knife in a minute. Okay, you need to be about 1.5 centimeters thick. So this for me will do. And I'm now going to cut this in about 1.5 centimeters. Now, this is a bit messy. So what I tend to do is just put it a bit together like that, so that ultimately you'll have some small cheese straws and some longer ones. So you cut it in strips of about 1.5 centimeters. Make sure you have a nice sharp knife. You really want to go through the whole straw, but keep it close together. So keep the strips together. It's like building this, isn't it? I go regularly to a local butcher here, and they have cheese straws, and the smell of cheese straws is just amazing. I'm always tempted, but of course I know that they have gluten in it, and these are gluten-free. So I'm going to put this on a baking tray. Before you do any baking, of course, you need to turn the oven on, and I've turned my oven on 200 degrees Celsius. So I'm just sliding this down here. On the baking tray it goes. Now, I said in the beginning, I divided the cheese in 2 halves, so 50 grams each. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle the cheese on the top, very roughly like this. And what will happen, and don't be scared if that does happen, the cheese of course will melt, that is a given, but you will not be able to see, for example, all these slithers here. So I try to leave a little bit here so that I know exactly where to cut when the cheese is melted. And as I said, you can use any cheese you like. Be creative. You can put other things on top. You can put more seeds on top, sesame seeds if you want to. So this is it. This is going in the oven. And I'm going to bake this for about 10 till 15 minutes. Just keep an eye on it and make sure you put it in the middle of the oven, because otherwise it will get very burnt on the top and the bottom won't cook so well. So this goes in the oven. And then there's one I made before. And this is the end result. So these are nice and crispy straws. You can hear them, they're very crispy. And as I said, the cheese will melt, but just cut them up. And you don't need to be too precise. So as you can see, mine wasn't a very nice square either. So be creative with it. It doesn't matter, because there might be people who just want a little bit. So that were the cheese straws.
Lovely, Leonie, they look great.
And healthy for you, of course. Full of protein, good fats, healthy carbohydrates, so a real nice treat. If you've made them, I would suggest you store them in a tin. And if they become soft, which sometimes can happen, you can just reheat them in the oven again. So they'll be nice and crispy, to crisp them up a little bit.
Lovely.
Okay, so did you make, sorry Tricia, did you make your cookies with almonds? With what kind of flour did you use for that?
Well, actually, I just did ground almonds, and then I used almond butter. So that worked really well, actually. Yeah, really nice.
That is really good. Very good idea. So, and you can buy that ready-made in the shop, and you could use that for this as well, if that's what you want to do, because you can mix it with the seeds and the cheese, and it will not give the taste. So it will be delicious, because sometimes you don't want to buy of each product a whole packet and then just use it for one thing. I have standard in my cupboard gluten-free buckwheat flour and almond flour always. And if the recipe calls for oat flour, then I use buckwheat flour. So
yeah, I didn't have the little coffee grinder thing, so I just thought, I don't think I can cope with that. And I went shopping and looked around, and very quickly spied some ground almonds and found the almond butter as well, which I was thrilled with. And so, yeah, I managed to get those quite easily. And you know, the biscuits did taste lovely. So
yeah, and often I say to, because ladies ask, oh, where can I buy it? Very health food stores is always a very good place to go if you can't find what I recommend. We have some wonderfuls around in Wimbledon. I'm sure there will be plenty where you can get ingredients which might not be so familiar to you.
Okay, thank you.
Like coconut milk, Tricia.
I've got lots of coconut milk. I've got that in store now.
Yeah, fantastic.
Right.
Okay, so let's start with the Indonesian stir-fry. Have you ever been to Indonesia, Tricia?
No, I haven't. Absolutely not.
No.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what's in there.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the Indonesian kitchen at all?
No.
No. Indonesia used to be a Dutch colony, and it's how we got our spices and herbs. And the food is a sort of, in my opinion, always a mixture of like Chinese and a bit of Indian and Thai, and a mixture of everything. As I said in the beginning, we have Indonesian restaurants in Holland, and they use lots of nuts and lots of vegetables as well. So today I'm going to make a vegetarian. The dish is vegetarian, and instead of rice, I'm going to use broccoli rice. When I do recipes, I'm going to be honest with you, I look at the list of ingredients and I think, oh gosh, can't be bothered, too much of the things. And I have the same a little bit with this recipe. However, I prepared it this morning, and it takes about 15 till 20 minutes to cut everything up, because all the preparation is actually in the cutting, not in the cooking so much, because it's a stir fry. So the ingredients for this recipe, first of all, I'm doing cooking an egg, and that I'm going to make into a little omelette, which is always a topping on many Indonesian dishes. Then I have broccoli rice, which I have put in my food processor. Now, if you have normal rice contains starch, and if you have to watch your blood sugar levels, starch will convert into sugar once it's in the body. So this is a very good alternative. Of course, we have done cauliflower rice as well and courgette, but it tastes delicious, and people tend not to have enough vegetables. We are recommended by the government to eat about 5 fruit and vegetables a day, but I believe there's only 85% of the population that have 5 fruit and vegetables a day. So it's really good to get more vegetables in your diet. So that's broccoli rice. I'm using a red pepper, which I'm going to cut up in little squares, an onion, a garlic. Then I have mushrooms. I love mushrooms, one of my favorite vegetables. I have leek, 1 leek, just cut up in rings. an onion, which I've a red onion, and I've already cut that up as well. I showed you the onion, and of course the garlic, which is ready. And then I'm topping that off with something called tofu. Have you ever eaten tofu?
I haven't, no. So
this will be a new experience for you. Tofu, I will warn you, is very bland. It's got no taste, it's pretty boring, but it's very good for you. It's full of phytonutrients. So you make tofu nice by either marinating it in a sauce, so it absorbs the taste, or you put it in a dish where you put lots of other vegetables with it. And it's a very good form of protein and very full of phytoestrogens. So for hormone balance, it's a very good product. Protein and soya has had a little bit of a negative taste. Women who have had cancer have to be careful with eating it. So don't eat too much of it. But I always believe everything in moderation is healthy for you.
And where would I find tofu?
You will find tofu again in a health food store, but also in the supermarket. It's readily available.
Where in the supermarket would I find it?
You would find it in the cooling cabinets. They have it like near the cheeses. There is like often in the cabinets the vegetarian and vegan section. You can find it in there. You can also find it in the aisles that are not chilled, and then it's in a carton. So it would be with the like the almond milks and that sort of, or gluten-free. It depends what supermarket you go to. I mean, I buy mine locally at a health food store, so it comes in a pot, in a jar of 500 grams. It's not expensive, by the way. So I don't.
And does it stay fresh for a long time, or does it go off, or I mean, how do you store it?
Okay, so it comes. I can actually, if you want me, I can show it. But it comes in a jar, in a liquid, and it's a big block, 500 grams. And I've just cut the amount of that I need for today. Goes back in the jar, and then I leave it in the fridge. And you can keep it for 3 or 4 days max. So you need to use it up. But depends on the quantity. You can buy small quantities as well, of course. That might be better because I know that I use it regularly. And if I think, oh, I need a bit of protein, I put it through vegetables because you don't taste it. So it's really good. Yeah. Okay, that was my, oh yeah, and finally I have some bean sprouts, very much used in the Indonesian kitchen, some pumpkin seeds, which I'm going to garnish the dish with, and some sesame seeds, so, and salt and pepper, so quite a lot of ingredients. But I'm going to start with cutting up the pepper and the little omelette, because they will go through the dish. Everything else is prepared, so let me show you just a little bit of cutting. Okay, so I'm using half a red pepper. I've de-seeded it already, and I'm just going to cut this in little squares. Pepper is a really good if you eat it raw, especially for vitamin C. Do you like peppers?
I do. I love them.
What's your favorite color of pepper?
I probably prefer red ones. I have to say there's something about that color red that's very attractive, and they do taste delicious.
Yeah, the green ones are these are sweeter, I find.
Yeah.
I also like the orange and yellow ones, but I always you tend to go for the red one. Okay, so I'll keep that to one side. Then I've cooked already an omelette just with 1 egg, just whisked it, and I'm going to cut that in little strips because that's going through the mixture, through the stir-fry. Just like that. I'll leave that for later. I watched a couple of cooking programs because, as you know, I'm not a professional chef, and I thought how they cook on screen, and they tend to have everything ready. So I thought, oh, I'll try that for her, because of course all the cutting up takes a lot of time.
I always think that is kind of cheating, because somebody like me who is very lazy in the kitchen, I watch these things and I think, oh, that looks really easy. Even I could do that, I think to myself. And the next thing that happens is, I try it myself and I just down there in the kitchen with this endless having to chop stuff and do stuff. And I just think, well, I don't want to do, this isn't how I want to spend my life. So it really puts me off. So I think sometimes
I'm going to give you a tip, which you will probably like a lot. The ingredients that I have used for this dish, you can actually buy them ready-made in your favorite supermarket in a bag, and then you don't need to do any cutting. So just look for stir-fries. And they have different tastes. Sometimes they have mushrooms in, sometimes mash. So you can choose one. And then you can probably with one bag make 2 meals. And then you can easily make this. You don't need to buy 1 leek, and because that might be, and then the cutting, of course, that speeds things up. So that's a tip, especially for you and for everybody else who is in a rush. I find cutting up quite therapeutic. It calms me down and it helps me to think about the food and prepare. But yeah, everybody has different things they like or don't. Right, so first thing I'm going to do with this dish is to go and turn the cooker on, of course. I'm just leaving a couple of things out here and move you around. Right, so I've got my pan. Putting it over a medium heat, and I'll use first some coconut oil. Coconut oil, and you can use coconut oil, you can use ghee. I'm using extra virgin olive oil because I know that I won't heat this up till at a very high temperature. The first ingredients I'm going to put in are the onions. And then the cut up garlic. I don't crush my garlic, although some of my previous recipes have crushed garlic in it. I've sort of changed my mind about it. I think you get most of the nutrients out of it if you cut it very small. So we give this a bit of a stir fry. This needs to cook for about 3 to 4 minutes. And after that, I'm going to add in the pepper. Do you eat a lot of Chinese or Indonesian or Indian foods, Tricia? No. And when you go out for dinner?
No, I don't. I don't. I mean, I don't have takeaways, and I also tend not to go to Indian or Chinese restaurants to eat out. I don't eat out very often, and when I do eat out, that wouldn't be my first choice.
What's your first choice when you go out for dinner?
I don't know, somewhere that has really delicious food.
A Dutch pancake house.
That's a stupid thing to say, but you know, there are lots of restaurants around where I live in Wimbledon that you know, that serve delicious food. So you know,
you pick and choose what you fancy that evening. I really like to try different countries' kitchen. I like Indian. I like Chinese. I like Turkish. I love Turkish food as well, and also it's very healthy for you. So I tend to like that. Although we have lovely restaurants not far from us. They do the French cuisine, and that's delicious too. So I have a wide variety, but there are no Indonesian restaurants, so I have to make an Indonesian dish myself. So next ingredients, while this is a little bit soft and smelling delicious, are the red peppers. Then I'm going to put in the leek. You know how to clean a leek, eh? I showed you that last time, I think.
Yes, Leonie, I'm now fully appraised of the way to clean a leek. I
must say, Tricia, I'm very, very impressed with all your efforts. It's fantastic, and it makes me so happy that I can inspire other people to cook delicious food and be healthy at the same time. So this is the red pepper, the leek, the mushrooms, and then I'm going to put in the broccoli rice.
So how did you make that broccoli rice?
Okay, this is another tip, but don't tell everybody. I did make it myself. I put it in a food processor, but you can also again buy this from the supermarket.
Okay.
Ready-made in a packet. So there is nothing to stop you, Tricia, from making this dish. You can make this dish if you want in about 5 to 10 minutes. That's how quick it is.
As long as you've chopped everything first.
Well, no, you can buy all the ingredients that I've just put in a stir-fry bag. Yeah. And then the cauliflower rice in a bag as well. So that means you can just put olive oil in and put everything together in here. So okay. That makes it much quicker. You see, you said you like red. I do like red. I specifically in this dish, the red and the green makes it look so nice. So that would normally, I would cook that for about 5 minutes, but I don't want you to hold on. So I'm just mixing it all together at the moment, just to give you an idea how it works. I have to put in the mushrooms as well. Mix it up again. This is basically, as I said, it's a stir fry, so you keep stirring it. And the broccoli will cook very quickly. I use the stem of the broccoli as well. I just put everything in a food processor and then mashes it up very finely. Okay, and then finally I'm going to add the tempeh to your protein and then eggs. A bit of salt and pepper. Again, we give this a bit of a stir.
And the tofu, you're just heating that through, really. You're not.
Yeah, that's what you do in this particular stage. It's already quite soft, as you can see. It's quite squishy, but you just heat everything through for about 4 to 5 minutes. I'm just going to show you what I would do next if it would be ready. That was a tip from one of your viewers, not to leave your utensils in the pan. And I started to think about that now, and I thought, oh, I do that quite a bit. So I learned something as well every day. So what I'm doing now, I mean, to be fair, it's not cooked, but this is, you get the sort of gist. I will throw this back in the pan. But the mushrooms are not quite ready. And I would dress this with a few bean sprouts, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, again full of phytonutrients. It makes the plate really look delicious. And I crumbled some feta cheese as well, so I'll put that on there to give it a bit more protein.
That looks lovely.
So that is what the dish would look like once it's finished.
Gorgeous, really
Yeah.
nice.
So this turn is low. So that's it. That's how simple this dish is. So I leave that to cook a little bit more because it's not ready yet. But yeah, so that was the Indonesian stir-fry.
That's absolutely lovely, Leonie, and looks delicious. And as you say, it's absolutely full of vegetables, which is really important. But you've got the protein source there with your egg, your tofu, and that little bit of cheese that you put on top there. That's really, really nice.
Well, ideally, when you eat a meal, you would have a third carbohydrates, a third fat, and a third protein. And half of your plate would be vegetables. And then 20% of your plate would be starch, so rice or whatever, and then 30% would be protein. So that's roughly the quantities that you need to have.
Yeah, but what I like about the way that you cook is that you're showing us really brilliant ways to eat a lot more vegetables, but keep those vegetables tasty and delicious and interesting and so on. Because I think for a lot of people, vegetables can be quite, well, tasteless really, and a bit bland. So you're, by combining them in the way that you do, and then cooking them in the way that you do, then you're really adding taste into that, which is really important.
And also the texture of the food, that's quite important. With this, you have a soft base, but then with the pumpkin seeds and sesame seed makes it nice and crunchy, which makes it more appetizing. Yeah. And if you want, you can be creative, add some soy sauce if you like, or tamarind sauce, or yeah, be creative. That's what I like with cooking, because there were a few questions on YouTube and the Facebook page, can you add tomatoes? And I always say, yes, do, try it out and see what you think. You might like it even better, or not better, then you go back to where you were before. So trial and error.
That's really lovely. And I'm just looking at what we're doing next week. So we've got a salmon and cucumber rolls. Is that a lunch dish?
It's a dish that you would, well, you can have it as a lunch if you eat it all. You can also serve it as a snack at a party if you want to do it in little rolls, but I'll talk you through that. It could definitely be a lunch, yes.
Okay, and because we're coming up to Easter, you thought it would be nice to perhaps have an egg-based dish ready for Easter. Not a chocolate egg-based dish, I have to say, an ordinary egg, a hen's egg-based dish, which is, again, that sounds really exciting. It's an omelette pizza. So a couple of combinations of words there you don't expect to hear. So we'll be fascinated to see how you do that. You'll
be surprised. Everything is possible. Also, people are so set sometimes in their ways, and I always say be open to new ideas, and look at ingredients and think, no, that's not for me. Try it and you'll be surprised. I was once told, oh, what you're going to make is aubergines with mince and cheese, and I was like, oh, that sounds really boring. It was so tasty. It was delicious. Three ingredients. So never be try out. Yeah.
Like your ratatouille mince. So again, they don't immediately, in my mind anyway, go together, because I tend to think of ratatouille as something that I eat during the summertime when I'm down in France. Yes, as a vegetable accompaniment, but often to other things. And then I made it because, you know, I wanted to do it to show you that I'd done it. And it was absolutely delicious. I mean, really loved it. I had it over 2 evenings. Of course, it would freeze beautifully as well.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, and quite a few people on Super Troopers have made that. That's good, Leonie. That must please you a lot that people are making.
It does. And I had also quite a few questions, ladies who were sending me emails about how can I eat healthy? I would like to change my eating habits. So I've come up, and you're the first one to know, with a 21-day turnaround plan. So eating healthy, so foods like I've shown you, the ladies, in the last couple of months, I incorporated in it. It comes with menus and a Facebook group and support from me and Zoom calls, etc. And they get a book as well, a stevia book with stevia, so it's all inclusive. So I'm currently working on that and hoping to help many more ladies, because it's all about changing your eating habits. And that's sometimes not easy, as you found yourself. Some of the things you're just so set in your ways, you like it, and there's so much variety around. So I thought I encourage ladies to do that, and that will be launched on the 6th of April. And of course, everybody that is in your Super Trooper or Fabulous, Look Fabulous Forever follow you, they'll get a special deal as well. So very excited about that. Working hard on it.
Absolutely brilliant, Leonie. Yeah, good. Well, I'll tell you what, next week we'll do a proper launch of that. So I think, you know, we'll set out how to enroll, what the procedure for that will be, and so on. And then Bryony and I will make sure that we do a big promotion of that on the Super Troopers page, because I think that would be helpful to a lot of women, and it sounds fantastic, really exciting. So let's talk more about that next week. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday for another feast.
Another feast, an Easter feast.
Easter wonderful food. All right, Leonie, thank you very much.
That's a pleasure, Tricia. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.